Welcome to the Briefing Room. I'm your host, Chief David Malloy of the Novi Police Department, and joining us today we have Mr. Max Chittister from Crime Stoppers and Detective Sergeant Matt Conquest from the Novi Police Department. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Max, if you'd start out a little bit and talk to us about your background. I know it's somewhat unique to law enforcement, and how that's evolved into the public-private partnership that exists today between law enforcement, Crime Stoppers, and our private business communities.
Sure. I started out several years ago as mayor of a community of about 40,000 people, Goshen, Indiana, and was mayor for 8 years. So I worked closely. At that time, our municipal building, excuse me, housed both the administrative offices and the police department that was downstairs, and they had a couple of holding cells. So I worked very closely, of course, with the police and had to appoint a chief a couple of times. And then I went into lobbying work with the old NBD Bank, which is now Chase, and did that for 18 years and lobbied on a lot of issues. And of course, banks had security issues at ATMs and at the banks. So, and then it continued a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I retired from Chase Bank and became part-time executive director of the Detroit Police Foundation. And currently I work with Crime Stoppers as well. And there is a correlation between all that I have done and now focusing on this type of police work or helping with police.
And I think it's critical that the citizenry understand that without that private partnership from the banking industry, from the other nonprofits that are out there and who are providing us with these resources, Crime Stoppers wouldn't be able to fund these tips that we pay out and fund the monetary rewards that we actually give out to the tipsters, which is truly critical to law enforcement. And I know, Sergeant Conquest, you've and your men and women have utilized Crime Stoppers on numerous occasions in Novi.
Without a doubt, Chief. And just to piggyback what Max had to say, the biggest thing that Crime Stoppers offers is a way for people to provide information to a law enforcement agency anonymously. And a couple incidents that I can recall here is that when we had the school bus shooting approximately a year ago, and that was a situation to where a school bus was traveling down Wixom Road in our city. The school bus was filled with young children, and we had another vehicle that passed by, and they shot an airsoft BB type gun at the school bus, struck the window, broke the glass, and it actually shattered some glass onto a young girl who was in one of the seats. And we actually contacted Crime Stoppers, and Crime Stoppers obviously responded in a timely fashion. They were able to provide us flyers, posters that we were able to distribute in the community, and also the school, which made the crime known to people, and they were able to provide us information. We've used it for bomb threats at the high school, to where somebody has left a note inside the school, maybe left a message on a wall saying that the school is going to blow up. And the thing about when you have crimes against children or involving children, and the perpetrator might be a children, is that kids don't want to, quote, rat out their friends. So when you are able to provide them a venue to where they can do it anonymously, it helps our job as law enforcement officers in solving that crime.
And Max, I think that's something that's not only unique to our society, but there's a ton of different communication venues with the internet. It's totally exploded, and I know Crime Stoppers has taken advantage of that as well. Can you speak of that a little bit about the Facebook and Twitter and how we're looking at that?
3 months ago, we started a Facebook program. A young lady is volunteering her work because an uncle of hers was murdered, and she started Facebook and talking about how important it is to remain anonymous. On the Facebook page, there was an icon that you check that's called an honesty box, and that revealed whether you were male or female. We had to take that out. We don't want any chance at all of anybody knowing who that person is. So you can Facebook, you can text message, we're looking at Twitter, and of course 1-800-SPEAK-UP, which is located in Canada, and that's all they do is Crime Stoppers. So the call goes in there, they get a number, a tipster number, and they get the information to the local police departments, and so they can check those tips out, and it's totally anonymous.
And I think that's the great part of the program, is that no one's trying to find out who you are. Crime Stoppers and law enforcement has never tried to track the individual down. Yep. You don't have to testify. And Sergeant, I know we've recently have added Crime Stoppers linked to our website, and that's because we want to take advantage of a communication venue that a lot of young people. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
You're correct, Chief. On the police department website, we've added Crime Stoppers as an icon on the upper left-hand portion of the screen. If somebody wants to prompt themselves through that icon, it'll basically give you the steps to file a tip with Crime Stoppers. You still have the traditional way of doing 1-800-SPEAK-UP, which is a phone call to Crime Stoppers, and you get assigned a number basically, and you are able to leave vital information for Crime Stoppers that they forward to the law enforcement agency for us to follow up on. You can also text now, because texting is a big popular way to communicate in society. You can actually text CSM 274637 to Crime Stoppers with the information that you want to provide to them, which obviously once again gets forwarded to a law enforcement agency.
And we'll certainly show that number and that combination of letters and numbers on the screen for the general public. But that's critical that we take advantage of all technology venues, all vehicles that can be used as far as getting that word out there and getting that message. Max, I know we're located in 7 counties now. Crime Stoppers has reached out and actually started out through the Greater Alliance of Detroit, and it's kind of evolved into the organization it is today. And one of the big things that not only you have to do, but President John Broad, is to get involved in the fundraising. And that's, I think, where your private background. Can you speak a little bit about that and how that success has kind of bled over into Crime Stoppers, if you will?
Sure. John Broad, CEO and President of Crime Stoppers, is the main fundraiser. He's the base of Crime Stoppers. When I came on board, hopefully I can contribute in that area because of my background and knowing some of the people that I can connect John with those folks. We're even looking at other foundations for contributions and doing some work in that area, and I was able to connect John to some of those. So both through John and myself, but John primarily, we're raising public money so that we can have bigger rewards, bigger pot of reward money so that we can keep that going and sustain it. And at the same time, get people involved in Crime Stoppers.
I know the Novi Police Department recently entered into a financial partnership with Crime Stoppers to where we donated $1,000 of state drug forfeiture funds, which is allowable under the statute for us because many of the tips that we do get and do request information on are tips involving narcotic sales and the level of dealing that may take place not only in our community but surrounding communities. So that was essential for us, and I know I had met with John, and I think he's meeting with other law enforcement agencies to utilize those funds because those are literally dollars that we're taking from drug traffickers and we're able to put back into the program.
That works very well, and he is doing that and meeting with a lot of chiefs in communities. Additionally, that goes to awards court, and they're the ones who sit down in the third Wednesday of every month and decide what type of money goes to a certain tip, whether it's narcotics, murder, whatever. They set the level.
Outstanding, outstanding. Well, we're going to take a real quick break here on the briefing room, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the rewards court and how it is that a tip actually gets back to law enforcement and follow up. So please stay tuned.